All right. How's everyone out there doing tonight? All right.
One.
Boom.
Music City Multicon, he said, don't be afraid to get up on the microphone. I'm sure you guys, as you've done voice roles, you probably know better than I do. But yeah, we're here tonight to talk to three very interesting actors. All have different ways they got to where they're going, and we're going to talk about how they got there, talk about some of those projects, let them just entertain you for the next little bit. I'm just going to sit back and do as little as possible, you know. But no, we got, only one of us has to lay back. That's me. Okay, I'll introduce everybody. First off, we got Chris Bartlett right here. We got Tait Fletcher right there. And then, let's try this. From the South, I can't promise anything. Andrey Ivchenko. Almost. Ivchenko.
If you're going to pronounce it right.
Yeah, you know, he's gone.
You have to say
he left us.
Ivchenko.
Lost one already. There you go. Can I make them all leave before the night's over? No. But no, yeah, we're going to talk about you guys. And before we get started, I know there's an actor strike going on. Did you guys just want to talk about that real quick and maybe some of the things you can and cannot maybe talk about tonight?
Yeah. No, really briefly. First of all, as actors, we will figure out the issues with the studios. We want the fans to continue to enjoy the shows and films and making your costumes and coming to conventions. But really briefly, what it is if you had a job and you went to work and the company said, hey, Dave, we're going to give away most of our products for free, and we would like you to keep coming to work every day and making those products, and then we're going to pay you half. What would you do?
I would have a big problem. Yeah.
You might look for a job somewhere.
Yes, probably so.
Yeah, so studios took a risk. They did. They went with streaming, which gives a lot of stuff of film and TV away for free, and so that is a risk that financially wasn't great for studios and for making money. And so they said, well, no, we want you to keep making the shows. Just we're not going to pay you the residuals you normally make that are in your contracts.
Was it true that it wasn't great for them, though?
Oh, no, you're right. No.
So they say that it's not great for us, but they don't have to pay for any packaging. They don't have to pay for any distribution. Sure. They don't have to pay for any of the things that would come up if you were selling a DVD, a video cassette, anything like that. So their costs actually go tremendously down, almost to zero for all those things. And they make a tremendous amount more, and they can track everything infinitely to
every click,
specificity, every stroke of a keyboard. And what the argument has been, how residuals work in television, they were great, and you would get a percentage every time that was shown, and then if NBC sold it to TNT, you'd get some money for that when that was shown, et cetera, et cetera. When VCRs came out, they go, we're not really sure how this will work, so we're gonna have to pay you less. And so SAG, who's supposed to be our benefactor of our union, per se, in name at least, they negotiated a lower rate with the studios for that percentage so that the studios could make more money. And then when CDs and DVDs came out, they go, well, this is even crazier. We really don't know how we're going to do this. And they negotiated successfully with SAG to pay us even less. So as we go through life and grow, they're paying us less for a product that they're making more money on. And then when streaming comes out, where they have the ultimate amount of money that they've been able to make, they pay us almost nothing for most of the projects. And that's part of what the problem is, which I don't think can be, because it's like 0.1% of their revenue is what we were asking for with SAG. Now, SAG historically hasn't really been on the actor side either, which is funny. It's kind of like two brothers that go to the same country club that are pretending to argue with each other over us, is kind of what it feels like as a performer in film. Am I saying too much?
No. Hey.
And then, so what I think it is like it becomes, we know about the car industries or about banks when they say you're too big to fail. It feels like that a little bit. Like if I have a bunch of shareholders and I'm maybe not being exactly truthful about what all my streams are, maybe that's why I don't want any kind of clarity with that, is because it's not because of your money. It's because maybe I go to prison if this comes out. So anyway, that could be what's happening too. And then the other side of it, of course, is AI. And AI is a thing that I'll just talk about, that is all speculation from a guy that's a brain damaged old fighter and actor that doesn't know anything, right? My theory about that film. But my experience is that I was scanned. They body scanned me for a lot of shows. Jurassic World I'm body scanned on. And in that body scan, they say, we're just going to use you to fight dinosaurs or whatever in the back, or we'll put you in, we need you driving a Jeep or whatever, right? Say, cool, that's great technology. Now what happened, probably not nefarious, but technology grew before we had advocacy. And so as technology grows and you don't have advocacy, well, they own my image because they bought me on that film. I'm
In
owned by them.
perpetuity throughout the known universe is the wording.
That's the wording in the contracts. And so a couple years later, I don't know if you heard of a video game, Grand Theft Auto, but I'm a character in that game. But I have no money, I have no recognition of that at all. It's just the developers used me in that. And so I don't know that Jurassic World is owned by the same parent company as Rockstar Games. And then a couple years later, I'm in Red Dead Redemption with the same thing. My exact character out of Jean-Claude Van Johnson, same punch, same outfit. They didn't even try to change anything very much. And so that's what the strike is about advocacy for us, is what I would hope. I don't know what it's really about for the guys that are brothers that are in the same country club.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I heard it there. But no, I mean, yes, and you guys deserve all that. I mean, like you said, the analogy used earlier was perfect. I mean, this is your craft. This is what you do. And you speak of AI, you're right. I mean, that's possibilities are endless right there. So.
Well, the thing is that, with AI, I don't know, Jay-Z had his producer put out a song on his Instagram, and it sounded just like Jay-Z, and the lyrics sounded like him too. And it wasn't Jay-Z. And so he brings up what's ownership look like? And so now we're in a world where if you don't trademark yourself, your voice, your likeness, you don't really own yourself. And if you're a young person that's just trying to come up in the world in film or in anywhere really right now, and you're not able to have enough money to be able to trademark yourself, what if Universal has enough money to trademark you? And then they can use your image and likeness and voice and everything and not pay you. What's that called? Is that called slavery?
Yeah.
And so we're into a whole different kind of conversation that, a lot of people are like, oh, it just affects actors. And it's going to affect everybody. And it's about American ideals, I think, and human ideals of like, how free do you want to be and where do you draw a line in the sand at a certain point? Because the encroachment of this cancerous capitalism where they have dividends at all costs or whatever, is overtaking every part of our country, and we can see it corrode everybody. All the mom and pop shops are gone because there's Walmart, right? And eventually there's just one company that owns everything, and you buy it from AmeriCorps, and here we are. This is a different conversation than you guys thought we were going to have.
I don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and shut this mic off.
I'll get you on my...
My name's Dane Cook, and thank you very much.
I'll get you on my podcast later. We can go deep into that. But yeah, I was like, but let's get started then on you guys. Chris, you've been a voice actor for 17 plus years now?
Not exactly. I've been an actor on camera and on sets for, this is my 18th year.
18th, okay.
But I do also do voices.
Okay.
But mostly I'm on set doing acting. A lot of it's been in a galaxy far away.
Okay.
But it has grown into other work. But yeah, all of the new stories in that galaxy that are currently on television is I've been on and worked with Tait on a few of those too, and it's a lot of fun.
So what's your origin story? Where do you come from? When did you first know you wanted to be an actor?
I got started as a 30-year-old building costumes, to wear to conventions. There was no career plan or anything. I just really loved the characters, and so that's how I got started. And after 6 years of doing that, someone at a company owned by a larger company, this company who made stories in a galaxy far away, saw a video of me performing in one of my suits and invited me to come for an audition. And they flew me to San Francisco and bolted me together. And I said, my goodness, why hello, I am Human-cyborg relations. I am fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. This is my counterpart, R2-D2. And so that's how that started. And so for the last 17 years, I've been playing that character on television in live action. And then that expanded to other like characters on these new shows. And it's really a dream. It's really a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah, so if you're a cosplayer out there, it gives you hope right there for sure. I mean, so were you into this far, far away place as a child? I mean,
Oh, yeah. So I was 7 years old when the first film came out and got to see it in theaters and just, totally ignited my imagination and making up stories of my own and building cardboard spaceships, things like that. And then being able, then I would build costumes for my kids and things like that. But yeah, I was always a lifelong fan.
It's very cool. Now, Tait, you come from a little bit different story here. You used to be, you referenced it earlier, you were a guy that got into a ring with other guys and punched each other. You're an MMA fighter. And was there a match that you were in? Was there a point in your life where you're like, maybe I need to not do this for the rest of my life, maybe get into something else?
Well, yeah, that didn't happen soon enough, probably, but that's a very addicting sport to be in. But the first film I did was in 2000. It was I was working as I was training to be a fighter, and so you work a job that'll fit those hours, and everybody trains in the daytime. So I worked at a nightclub at night, and I ran security there. And Master P and all his guys came in, and they go, "Hey, we need some big white boys for this film." And so me and a bunch of guys went and tried out, and I got a part in it, and then, kind of went on from there. And at the end of that film, one of the guys that was a second unit director and stunt coordinator, he goes, "Dude, you move great, you got a good look, you come out, I got a guest house in LA." And I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, y'all. So the film had been there, and they came into the nightclub that I worked at, and he goes, "You should come move out here and stay at my guest house and all that, and you can, there's a lot of work here for you." And I go, "Dude, I'm just a kid from Michigan. Like, I only got to work this one job. That seems ridiculous that I would be in movies." And so I passed. "Thank you, though. Great to meet you." And then I went a different way. And I feel like it's like, how you got to be an actor or whatever. It's like whatever it is I've done, I didn't know how to do the thing generally. It's like, but I throw my hat over the fence, and then I got to go get my hat, is kind of how I say it, you know what I mean? And so with that, in the fight world for me, it's like I just wanted to pull that string of curiosity until I got as good. I want to see where it could go. And so I did that. And that's why I said no to the guy, Keith Willard, that came in. And then, I'd started a training center, and I was training a bunch of guys and had, a strongman gym, CrossFit, kickboxing. And the guy came in, and he was an X Games athlete, and started training with him. And he was really fun to play with. And then he comes out, he's doing a film called Paul. And Paul is a Simon Pegg thing where an alien is going across the desert in a motorhome, right?
Great movie.
Yeah. And so he says, "Hey, that's what I'm doing. I heard you worked on this other thing or something. You got a SAG card." And I go, "Yeah, 10 years ago I did this thing and whatever." And he goes, "Well, come play." And so I got a couple of roles on that thing as a stuntman. And then I went out to Red Dawn after that, and I thought, man, maybe, because I was doing bodyguard work too. I was doing bodyguard work to try to pay the bills at the gym, I was just trying to make it work, my interest had exceeded my income. And so I'm trying to do all these things that I can't fund, and I'm just, running, chasing my tail, trying to get enough money to pay for the lights, to get the next job to go, and then trying to actively train people and level them up to be able to be coaches. And so all that's going on, and I started chasing film work. I thought maybe this is a way I don't have to do bodyguard work anymore. And that's kind of what happened. And one thing led to another. Like I said, I throw my hat over the fence, and I got to go get it. And so I get my interest peaked, and I'm going to chew into that thing until I get good enough at it to be able to play. And that's it. And I think my story is just like anybody else's story that I see that is doing what they love to do, is that if you love to do a thing, you should do that thing all the way to the hilt, and you should follow that. Because if you're interested in that thing, other people are probably going to be interested in that thing, and you'll get into a flow where people are like-minded in that, and that can become a life. And that happened to me by accident. I can only say that in the rearview mirror, you know? But the downside of not doing that is like you follow somebody else's expectation. You should be a psychologist. You should be an electrician. You should, and maybe that's great, but maybe you buy yourself a life you didn't really want. And so I think that the right answer is always follow what you love and serve that thing, honor it, you know, not follow it like lackadaisically, but really put your teeth in it, man, and protect that thing, because those things are important, you know. Passions are important. It's not a fleeting thing. It's what we live by.
Amen. Hey, y'all clap for that. That's great. I do have I just want to make sure. You said Master P, the rapper,
yeah,
right?
Master P, No Limit Records, No Limit
Make
Films.
sure.
Yeah.
You have to tell me that movie
Go,
later.
I don't know.
I know
You're
Master
familiar?
P. Yeah, I was making sure. He's in movies. He was in wrestling. He was doing it all back then. But yeah, so, and then you're from Michigan. What part of Michigan are you?
Born on the shore of Lake Huron, up Alpena, Michigan.
Okay. Well, my wife's from Saginaw, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
So
A little bit south. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Michigan people. All right. Well, let's go to the gentleman who hasn't had a chance to speak yet, but your story is just as interesting. There you go. These guys they got good stories for sure. Now, your story, you're from Ukraine. So tell us that adventure. How do you end up here in movies?
Well, I kind of like movies since I was a kid. You know, even former Soviet Union, we didn't have many of them. Long story short, somewhere in the mid school, we had a teacher, and she decided to open school theater. So I signed up with that and went and played different roles for 4 years. Then I was in the military for 2 years after that, after I finished the school. Then I came back, Soviet Union collapsed, you know, nobody thought about acting or anything like that. You know, you have to find a job, you have to make money, survive somehow. Then 1999, I left. I lived in a few countries, and then I ended up in Canada. So in Canada, I did also like Tait, bodyguard and different security jobs. And I met that woman, and she said to me that she has a friend, and friend owns like a background agency, extra work. And she's like, why wouldn't you try to sign up with the agency and, you know, get yourself on set and see how it goes? So I did that, and that's how I started, did extra work, which I consider was a great school, because I've never, till that time, I never been on set. So, you know, and I like to listen, as I said, and I like to watch. So, you know, even people, guys after, you know, rap, they go to background holding, and I try to stay back on set and watch the director and watch the cameraman and how it works, you know, watch the actors. So it was a good school for me. So I did for a number of years, then I transitioned into stunts, did stunts, and then after that I transitioned into acting. And 2009, I booked my first movie in Canada and, you know, did a number of roles there, and then I decided it's time to move to Los Angeles, which I did in 2013.
And now people have seen you. I mean, my son is a big fan of a certain show on Netflix you're part of, so he's definitely familiar with you. And you've got to be in movies with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren now. I mean, what was that like? I mean, because I know you had to be like, I was a big fan of those guys growing up. I can't imagine being like working with those guys. Like, they're kind of bigger than life, you know? I mean, do you get used to that? I mean, or is it you always kind of like watching your idols on work beside you?
You know, I try to never listen to the people who's telling you different stories about different, not only actors, but about different people until I myself experience that. So I don't make a judgment on personalities or how the people are. Dolph was a great guy. We didn't have a scene. I didn't have a scene with him, but I met him. He's a great guy. He was, you know, just down to earth, normal dude. So, which I like, you know. Same was with JCVD, hardworking. Again, I've heard the different stories, you can see on YouTube, but as I said, like until I experienced something, because like back in the days when I was young, I, as probably everybody, you listening to gossips, you listening what people say, and you kind of like make your mind about certain person, and then you meet that certain person, and you like, it's completely opposite to what I was heard about. So JCVD, to me, with me, like on set, he was like awesome dude, also down to earth, hardworking. At his age, he was 5 days a week on set doing like physical stuff. He needs a break more often probably when he was like, in his 30s, 20s. But I mean, he's, from my experience, he's a very hardworking dude. And that's what I like. And he's not prima donna, he's very down to earth. He's talked to, we had like so many stories he told me about Sly and Expendable, Steven Seagal, it's like, we were laughing the asses off, to be honest. But he's just a cool dude, and I was with him on set probably for like a week, and it was like really pleasure to work with a guy like this, with a legend.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely a legend. Well, it's very cool because all you guys do come from like different backgrounds, and like you just kind of started doing this thing you're passionate about. But I'll ask each one of you: was there a moment where you were like, "Oh, I think this is going to work out"? I know in the beginning you're probably thinking, "Well, we'll see what happens." But is there an aha moment you had, a certain, just anything that happened where you're like, "Okay, I think I'm going to be able to do this"? Chris, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I feel like that every time I go to set, because every time I do a thing, it feels like, okay, this is like, this is the best one, and then you get a call back for something else. So I think the first time I was called for to play a certain shiny gold character, I was like, this is the peak of my fandom or my passion for performing. And that was just like a McDonald's commercial, but then it turned into, okay, we want you to come perform at the Oscars. You're going to present to John Williams, and or we want you in the Super Bowl commercial, or the White House is calling to have you and your little short friend come and you meet, you suit up at the White House and in the basement, and you get on the elevator with the guy who's operating it, and it's this tiny little tiny car, and I'm on there with 2 stormtroopers and me, and we're just gonna go up because we're gonna pass out, help greet military families for Halloween at the White House, right? They had told us, we don't know what the President Obama's schedule is. He's probably very busy. We don't know if he's. Anyway, we're riding in the elevator, and the door opens, and there's President Obama standing there, and he goes, "Whoa, can I get on with you? Oh, you look awesome." And I said, "Why, yes, please." And then you're like, oh, I hope I don't accidentally trip on him or fall or poke him or something, because it'll be a national incident. But anyway, what that evening was like, I don't care what your politics are like. Meeting a president of the United States in the White House is so cool. And he couldn't have been more warm. I mean, like to your point, reserve judgment until you meet a person. I'm not super, excited to meet politicians, but he was so warm, and he was definitely a Star Wars fan. Now, I'm just going to be quoting President Obama, who is not a SAG member, so he might say, he said, C-3PO, can you come stand next to me? Oh, wait, can you say something to Michelle for me? And I was like, why, it's our pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. But, casual Star Wars fans will be like, CP-30, 3CPO, but no, not President Obama. He was like, C-3PO, So anyway, that moment, I just felt like, oh my gosh, this is an iconic character who and is meeting the president of the United States, and I'm somehow involved in this. It is really very special. But when we first started doing the new shows, it was now the first time in a narrative in this galaxy that I would be instead of a commercial or a red carpet or something. And so that moment, I was playing a character called the Ferryman in the very first episode where, calling speeders over. Sorry to bore you, Tait. Calling speeders over, and I had the snout and goggles on, But when they said, "Okay, Chris, we're gonna rehearse your scene," stepping up onto this frozen pier, it just felt like everything was in slow motion. Yeah, it's like I've been a fan of this series of stories for my whole life. It felt like, and now I'm stepping into that actual galaxy is just really special. So, you try and keep yourself chill, don't explode like a, fanboy all over the place. So that was my experience.
Did Obama get a selfie with you?
Who?
Did Obama get a selfie
He
with
did,
you?
and it took an 18
Right?
months to get this photo, yeah. So I have a photo now with President Obama.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's cool. My character and him.
Of course,
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
And he was in character
Yeah.
as the sitting president.
It was a guy playing President Obama. Yeah.
Well, tell you, what about you? Did you have any aha moments in the beginning? Was there anything where you just were like,
it's such a grind to get in. It's like, to go from background to try to get a SAG card, just to be present, the whole thing. There's so many obstacles. You go, okay, if you're a kid, you go, hey man, I'd love to be in movies. How do I do that? You go, well, you got to get a SAG card is the first thing. And then I go, okay, how do I get a SAG card? Well, you got to be in a movie and you got to do something to get a SAG card. And they go, well, how do I get a movie? Well, you got to have a SAG card. And it's a circle. And that's what anybody will tell you. It's like impossible. They show you, here's an impossible riddle. Good luck. And so, the first time that happens, I got Taft-Hartley is like a grandfather clause, and SAG is how I got in. But other people
It's like a coupon for us.
Yeah, it is. It's like a freebie. Yeah. And they're like, it means kind of like there's nobody else that fits the bill for this. And so we can't fly anybody in. It'd be cost prohibitive. So we got to use this guy. And so we're going to pull him into the union. And that's how I got in the union. And other friends of mine, they get vouchers. If you're a background actor for certain shows, you can get vouchers to where you can get it.
Certain hours, you have to make certain hours to get the credit and
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
It's a whole nother process that also seems impossible. All these things, they seem like you don't know what's the next show that you might get because you're not. What's that? Six of them? Yeah, you don't know how many times you're going to get hired by the right kind of shows to do that. So anyway, for me, it wasn't early on, but I was in the show about a really nice science teacher that was just trying to do good by his family, and then he had one of these students that was going to show him how to distribute crystal meth in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and
He was a white guy.
and I was in that show, and then I get to go to the SAG Awards and get a statue and everything for that show. Like, it was tremendous, and at that time, I'd been in the one thing and maybe a Nissan commercial in the 10 years that I was competing as an athlete. And then maybe it was 2 or 3 years went by, me trying to hustle, and before I got that. And I thought, now I've got this accreditation from this damn business, and it'll mean something. It means nothing. It means nothing. It means zero things, and good luck on to the next. And so I just kind of go, okay, this is the temperature of the water in this ocean. This is just what this is. And so you just grind and you try to do what I've tried to do. I took the mindset of as an athlete where I want to do the best. I always want to do the best for my team. I wanted to carry my flag strong. And so, and honor the guys that had come before me and that had helped me. That was important to me. And the same thing in the film business. I wanted to have the guy that hired me be happy that he hired me. That he didn't, that I didn't mess it up, that he didn't want to hire somebody, whatever. It was like that. So it wasn't until like last year I was at a con and some kid walks up and he sees all these pictures of all these different shows. He goes, "This is an amazing career that you've got here." And I about fell over. I go, "A career?" Because I literally was just trying to get my next job still at that. I mean, like, I'm just trying to service the job I'm in and get the next job. Even when I have a job, I'm thinking about, I'm about to be unemployed. Yeah. And that's just the hustle. That's what the work is, right? And so there's never really been that aha moment. But like with the stuff that I mentioned earlier about the strike and all that stuff, man, you know, when I really started to look at like how to develop myself as a human being and what that looks like, one of my mentors says, you know, a victim will never recover. If you have a victim mindset, you're never going to go anywhere in this life, you know? And so inside of that, like people are like, how does the strike treat you? And it doesn't matter to me one way or another, because I'm going to go ahead and bust the grape regardless of what happens. Like I'm going to get it done because I got to feed me. And so in this world where you don't have real agency over yourself anyway, you're on somebody else's dime and it's their party, you got to be in creation. And that's why I say, like, whatever you love, follow that thing. Because if you're not in the creation of the thing, you don't own the thing. You're at somebody else's party. And so lately, me and my partner, he was a fight partner of mine for 20 years, Keith Jardine, has been writing all kinds of movies. And we filmed a short. He won all kinds of awards. We took it to film festivals last year. And then we've got a feature that we're going to film before Christmas here this year. And so it's like just moving to the next thing, you know, and that's, you know, pulling the next thread of curiosity and finding out how to produce this, how to amass money for this, how to, you know, what would directing this look like? Who all do we need to encourage to come in? And so for us, every time that they haven't reached a resolve yet with the strike, we're like, yes! Because then all our friends that are electricians and grips and all that, yeah, they want to play. They want to do our thing with us, you know what I mean? And so that kind of is like, is there security? No. You know, there's no like, aha, I'm here, I've arrived. I've never had any of that, but I also have a strong faith that, you know, I've never been left dropped on my head. As long as I'm willing to show up and work hard, somehow God, the universe, whatever you call it, that energy supports me. And I got faith in that because I've got enough times where I, you know, jump off the cliff and got to build my wings on the way down, as they say, you know, and it turns out okay. I think that whole thing about, you know, fortune favors the brave, right? It's like if you got courage in what you do and you walk out like that, even if you're fearful about it, and you go full on, you get great results from that. And the other side of it is if I didn't do it that way, I would be ashamed of myself also, right? That's a bitterness I don't want to swallow. So I don't know if that's the answer to the question or not, but that's my answer.
I think you got there. I like the moment where the kid walks up to you at the table and says, you know, what a great career, because a lot of time you're so involved in something, you don't take a look back at all the things you've accomplished, you know? So I think that was like a really kind of cool moment where you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, you have a moment to reflect, but like say.
The coolest thing I did was a show called Jesse. And it was I don't know, it used to be on the same channel that we were on a show on together. It's so weird. It's a Disney show, okay, guys? I mean, Jesus, what are we doing? We're grown adults. And it was a kid, it was like about a little kid. And the coolest thing about that show was I would meet my friends' kids, like friends that I hadn't seen in a few years, and their kids would just be vibrating, just staring at me like crazy. And I was like, and after we'd said hello and everything, I go, what's going on? And they go ahead and ask them. They go, were you in Jesse? And I was like, and so to be like, you're like an instant hero that was the best show I've ever been in, hands down.
Go check it out, everybody, Jesse. So let's talk about, so you're from Ukraine and you come here and I'm assuming, did you have to learn English while you were here, right?
No, they're born knowing English. They just have it.
You know what I've discovered in Europe,
So
that
American.
in certain parts of Europe, they do speak English, unlike us. We only speak English here, you know. But because that's a obstacle to overcome. And I think of this thing I heard about Arnold Schwarzenegger is when he did Terminator, I think they went and, you know, dubbed it in other countries. And his accent was like so kind of Southern that he didn't even get to use his own voice when they went to like Austria to do the movie. So coming to your voice, is there any stigma attached to your voice? Like, is that a thing?
You want to ask me like if people come to me and say like, can you say get to the chopper? Or...
There you go. You got around to it.
I have, yeah. That happens all the time. All the time. Well, I'll be back. Yeah, it
Well,
happens.
do you do it? I mean, how do you deal with that? Are you like a wrong guy?
I mean, I'm fine with that.
There you go.
I mean, honestly, myself, I don't understand when I see actors, celebrities, and they're like, oh, I'm not taking a picture. I'm so tired of people, blah, 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 coming to me and saying that. I mean, you got into this business. You know what you're signing up to, right? It's like if you make it, it's gonna be people coming to you and they wanna talk to you, they wanna take a picture, like always be that guy, they wanna see you so you achieve something, so they wanna take that memory with them, when they ask you to take, like, can I take a picture with you?
They're also our audience.
Right,
so
exactly.
You are actually in the business.
Who made you?
Yeah,
those people who sitting and paying $15, which is, I think, is like ridiculous. And in LA, it's like $15 or $17 you're paying for the ticket, popcorn and stuff like that. For one person, it's $50. You know what I mean? So those people who's like, especially now with all these like new media platform, Netflix and Amazon, Hulu, right? Like they could sit home, right? They could sit home and wait, okay, so now it's in the theaters for 3 weeks, then it's gonna be on this platform, I watch it for free because I'm paying $8 a month anyways for that, right? But no, they go to the theater, they spend that money, including Coke and plot and a popcorn, and they go sit there and they watch that movie. Those people you have to be grateful to, because who you became, right?
Yeah, that's right. Amen.
Who made your name, so you cannot be just like, oh, I'm not gonna take a picture because I'm big name now, I'm prima donna, so I'm like, that's why when I was talking about JCVD and Dolph, like they big names, but they never say no, know, and that's why I respect those names, because the way they are, not on the screen, because we're all pretending there, right? But in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's definitely a great perspective to think about it, especially with kind of the roles you guys bring, where it's, they are these larger than life characters, and kids love that, and adults love it as well. And then they meet someone and they turn out to be a total like jerk. You're like, right. I'm out of here. I'm not going to watch that. Yeah. That show anymore.
I used to, when I would bodyguard, I used to bodyguard a real famous podcaster, comedian guy, and he'd have people that would come up all the time, and we'd be eating dinner, and people would come up while he's got a mouthful of food, and the guy would be like, hey, I don't want to be that guy, and I'm like, you right now in real time, you cannot be that guy. Yeah. You've got the power to not be and they can't help, and he's like, it's all right, man, and we talked about it later, and I go, doesn't that drive you? I mean, because I'm like a manners guy. I'm like, that's poor manners. Right. And he goes, man, I love to be able to do what I do. I love to be able to go and tell jokes for a living. He goes, this is what I get paid for.
Exactly.
Is when there's a guy on the sidewalk. It's the only time he's going to run into me or whomever he wants to. And it just really puts a huge perspective on it. And the other thing is it's like, it's special. These moments are special that we have, and we only got so many of them, I don't know, changed my mind about it, but it is. It's guys like that. It's legends that know how to walk, because there's different pressures that are there. Everybody would say, oh, what's it like to work with Denzel or whatever, because everybody hears different stories, all the stories, right?
Yep.
And I go, he's cool as rain, man. And also, I don't know what it's like to not be able to go to Whole Foods. I don't know what it's like to be so famous that you can't literally go anywhere, right? Because traffic stops. Because you mess up the flow of the city. It's like, you know what I mean? It'd be like Michael Jackson walks out in the street. It's like everything shuts down. And that's insane. And so I'm grateful for any of the interactions.
Nice. Well, there you go.
Yeah, just a little piece of advice. If we're a fan of someone and you see that person, it's always great to introduce yourself. Like, hi, I'm Chris, instead of like, do the voice. Like, right, yeah. It's like, hey, I'm Chris. I love your work.
Manners still apply.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, because we're human, and but what our name is, but we don't know who you are, and you're still a stranger now if you're talking to us and haven't told us your name. And yeah, just make a human connection. That's really that's the best way to talk to somebody you'd like to meet.
And also, I say this to kids all the time: is it's special, but it isn't more special than you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a magic trick to be on TV and people go, oh my God, that, like, it's not substantial. There's nothing special about that supersedes any of the specialness that's in anybody. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just people that are grateful to be able to do a craft. But you know, a lot of times it can look so bright, I think, through fresh eyes that it can be crushing to what maybe your own abilities are, and that would be a tragedy if that happened, and it would be a lie. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll see if anybody has any questions. If not, we'll keep going. But does anybody in the audience have any questions they want to ask? If so, here is your opportunity. If not, we can keep going. But no, I always like to ask, you know. All right, well, let's get into, so I was looking into your history here, and you have Caveman Coffee. Now, I'm a coffee addict, I would say. Are you a coffee addict, number one? I mean,
That's how I got into it.
Okay,
yeah.
I got you. So
it was one of those things I was interested in, and I didn't know much about it. I threw my hat over the fence.
And you just jumped in. Tell us, what does your coffee have that?
Well, me and my partner Keith, that also writes with me, who I mentioned earlier, and Lacey Mackey, who was in the film business also. She does a lot of training and stuff, and has trained a lot of people in this universe, actually. We got into, we were big into nutrition, you know. We were all athletes, and we kind of came from that background, and we're looking at, like, you know, paleo and ketogenic stuff back in the early 2000s, I guess, and around, you know, 2000 and maybe 13, we started this company together that had, you know, small batch coffee that was single origin, that we got to know the farms that it came from, and then we started to make nitro coffee in a can, and that kind of became our flagship, and we've been doing that about 10 years now.
Nice. Well, there you go, Caveman Coffee, if you want to go check it out. I'm going to order some because I was doing a little research, and I came across that, and I love the name too, love the merch, I love everything about it, so I want to give you a little plug there. So is there any hidden talent you have, something that maybe your fans would
I mean,
be like,
he makes his own suits.
Well, I mean, that's not
he's
hidden
amazing.
anymore.
Have you seen him draw? I mean,
well, I did see him drawing, so I was going to give him a chance.
The breadth of the man. Good Lord, yeah.
I did see him draw a sketch earlier.
Most of his talents are out there for everybody.
He's your hype man over here.
You could ask his wife if he's got any hidden talents.
Right. So I do build all the droids that I wear on the shows, except for one. There's one named Zero that I didn't build, but yeah. And so if you come by the table, you can see a panorama of all the droids I built that are all featured or main characters, which is really, really so fun. There was no career plan when I was building these as a fan. So you know, I really like to build stuff. I like to restore old cars and motorcycles, and so I also do that. And I'm also a graphic artist. I grew up drawing every day as a kid, and so I love to do that too. Wow. I worked in video games for 20 years as what's called a user experience director. But really what it means is I designed all the heads-up displays targeting reticles and storefronts and everything of vehicles, weapons, and you know, character customization for like Call of Duty, Gears of War, and Star Wars. So and Tomb Raider, yeah. So that was my day job as a graphic artist, and that turned into like, what makes the game fun? You know, that's the user experience part, and how do we keep it fun? How do we keep people from rage quitting? You know, how do we get them to try a new game? And
rage quit, that's a term?
Rage quit.
Rage quitting.
I don't get this.
I've done it a time or two.
Just gonna stop, you know. So yeah, those are my hidden, I guess, yeah.
Play Fortnite with some younger kids that are kicking your butt, and you can hear them laughing at you. You'll rage quit immediately.
Yeah,
right.
I got my
that whole thing when they were able to start talking to you. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I will not subject myself to a 12-year-old berating me as he kills me over and over. There's no chance.
Yes, so that's
I'm not
rage
getting
quitting.
in that arena. That's not something that's for me.
Well, so my 15-year-old and my 13-year-old, like, a couple years ago, got into Fortnite. Dad, get on here and play with us. And then, you know, they were much better than I was. So that's my son right there. He would take pleasure in kicking my butt there. So then we would just go outside and play basketball, and I would take pleasure out there. So
Chris also worked on Fortnite.
Really?
I did work on Fortnite, yeah.
And so that's interesting as far as you've seen that grow graphic design from where you were when you were 18 to now. I mean, that's just kind of wild to even think about. I mean, I did the math on your age plus the experience here. I mean, we're around the same age.
38.
So that's been interesting probably to see just how far that's grown since when you started to even now. It's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, I mean, Fortnite was originally supposed to be a zombie game that you build forts and then you wait for the zombies to come at night. Right. And there was a free version and then there was a version you pay for. And guess which one was most popular? The free one. And so instead of Epic Games saying, no, we're going to force people to play the other one that we want them to pay for, they just pivoted and said, we want the players to play the game that they like to play the way they want to play it. And that was what made it so successful, is then they just kept offering new things that players could enjoy in that game, like skins and all that stuff. So
and skins and skins and skins, yeah. Lots of skins.
In fact, I still have I designed the little blueprint that your character opens up when you go into build mode. Nice. So if you back up your character to a wall and then hit build, he'll open up his blueprint. It'll fill the whole screen.
Okay.
And you'll see my name in the lower right corner.
Oh, nice. We'll have to go
see
look for
Bartlett,
that.
architect.
Very cool. Very nice. Now, speaking of video games, Andrey, you're the voice of a. Yes. Tell us about that game?
Actually, the voice is not mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I think casting director thought that my accent is not really authentic.
What?
Yeah.
So here, let's get into this.
Wow.
So
I've heard actually it's a funny thing. Back in Canada, I did like auditions, and I had buddy who was kind of like friends with casting director assistants, and I've heard actually a couple of times that when after audition they go and they discuss, like they have like a certain number of people and they discuss each actor, and he told me that his friend who's assistant on casting director told him that casting director, like when they watch my tape, they said, oh, he's not let's say I was auditioning for Russian part, right? And they're like, well, his accent is not like really Russian.
So that's amazing. That's amazing.
And then it's funny also because that TV show they do like every year, like a Hollywood roundtable. Uh-huh. And then it's like, I watched one of them like a few years ago. It was Mel Gibson, Billy Bob Thornton, I think Denzel was there, and somebody else. And Billy Bob Thornton was telling the story when he just came, because he's somewhere from South, like Louisiana, something like that. And he came to LA, he was a young actor, and he's like, I was going to audition, I got these auditions for like Southern guys. And he's like, I'm going to the room and I'm auditioning and I have this Southern accent, I'm from there, and then the casting director, no, this guy is not like free, and he's not from the South. And he's like, then I understood, because I wasn't doing like this, jumping on the table, and that's why like casting director, I guess, like didn't believe him, So same story like with me.
Yeah, I used to get on Fiverr and do like voice stuff for a little bit, and I would do Southern accent. They would come back and go, it needs to be more. I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, really, like go over the top. I was like, okay,
let's
dude.
hear your
let's
your
more,
Russian,
do more for us.
Hear your Russian.
Yeehaw, how y'all doing today? I mean, something like that, I was like, and they liked that because I guess that's what I was like, all right, man, sure, that's not really authentic, but yeah, it's people get something in their head what they want it to be.
I mean,
they meet their real thing and they're like, it's fake.
It's a weird thing in this business. I mean, you do that when you do like you come in as a SWAT team or something like that, or a SEAL team, and you're going to go and ingress a building. And they'll stack you all up so it'd be easy to kill you all. Yeah. But they want it to be really authentic. Like you would never go in like that. And that's these people that are in this creative realm. They're like, we want it really authentic, but we're going to go ahead and have Vin Diesel be able to pick up a car also. Like, Anyway.
But it's for some reason that's what happens. I remember I auditioned for Modern Family, and they like, we need 2 Russian mobsters. Like 2 guys play Russian mobsters. So I went there, like it was probably about, I would say, 25 people, and some of them was Russians or Ukrainians, like a few people, authentic, right? And the rest was like Australian, British, Americans. So we went there, about 25 people. We went through that process, callback. So I'm getting called back. I'm going back to the office, and it's about, I would say, 7 people. So or 8 people. So they pair everyone with somebody, right? So they paired me with this Australian dude, and he's like, he's like this chubby, like with Australian accent, and I'm like, okay, cool, and I'm like, because there are lines in Russian there, and I'm like, so do you know, like, did you practice? He's like, I practice a little bit. He has no clue about the Russian language. So we're going in, we do auditions as a pair, right? So I left. The next day, my agent, my manager, contacted the office, and because just to ask, so what he should expect, and the casting director assistant said, they cast this. They love Andrey, but they cast this Australian guy, and they cast another guy who said he was Czech. He was Czech, but he was brought here when he was at that time he was probably around 40 years old. But he was brought by his parents in the United States when he was 3. So you're not Czech anymore. You grew up here. You don't have an accent. But it's funny. They cast these 2 people to play Russian mobsters.
Yeah.
Was it the look more than the voice?
They said, I mean, Australian guy, that guy was pretty like fit and, kind of like good looking, I would say. But they said about this Australian guy because he was funny looking. And that was the purpose.
Yeah, you're not funny looking.
Yeah, I'm not funny looking. But that's what happens like all over Hollywood,
Yeah.
Even and for me personally, like it's sad because us, and when I'm saying us, it's like people like from Eastern Bloc, let's say people who can speak Russian, right? Out of like if we take all auditions in Hollywood as 100%, we probably have like 5, maybe 10%, out of all these auditions, and from my experience, we don't have. They don't give us enough chances to play. It's always, if it's Russian mobster and you go and you audition and you do like good job and stuff like that, even if it's called back, then you see they book somebody and it's like American, Australian, French, British, whoever, but not.
Yeah. Well, that's become a problem here. It became a problem with a bunch of movies where, people were, I think of, what's the show? Oh, I can't think of it now, but Stringer Bell on The Wire was a guy from England. And for years, everyone thought he was from Baltimore because he didn't tell them. He lied during the audition.
Idris Elba.
And he lied during the audition, said, yeah, I'm from Baltimore. And finally, like season 2 or 3, someone called him and they're like, dude, you're not from, and he's like, yeah, you got me. So, and it was a lot of that thing where you'll see someone like Spider-Man, he'll be up there and you'll be like, oh, hey, guy's not from, it's crazy. So yeah, I guess it's just, you're right. Sometimes it is a certain look. Like with a comedy, I guess we need someone that looks kind of funny for this role, but.
And it's not like I'm against that because, we in this profession, we understand that that's about acting and maybe like certain things, certain details that like you don't have and another person have, and okay, so we have to cast that person because of those reasons.
Right.
But in the scenes where you have to speak Russian, and I see the guy like talking gibberish, you cannot understand. She's like, and you're like,
That's got to drive you crazy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's not authentic, but like, why you're not casting Chinese to play Koreans anymore.
Right.
It was when Red Dawn was like the old original one,
yep.
right? They did that. They cast Koreans to play Chinese, right? They don't do it anymore. You don't cast like, you know, Indian guy, like let's say, to play Pakistani. You know, like Hollywood doesn't do it anymore. But for some reason, guys from Eastern Bloc, okay, we have British, you know, we can bring the British. British can do it, you know what I mean? And that's like, I like recently, I don't know if you've heard, like Tarantino said, he got pissed about it because American acting potential started to fade away because so many British and Australian actors come in here, and he said nobody speaks their own real voice anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like British come in here and they can speak with Australian accent, they can speak with American accent, and like then you see like half cast of the British people. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm like, where's Americans?
Right.
I thought it's Hollywood. I thought it's like United States. So where's Americans then?
Yeah, when I was learning the voice for C-3PO, I asked some British people, where in England is that voice from? You know, is it a neighborhood somewhere? Or something? And they said, that voice is not a real voice. It's kind of like in America where you have an American disc jockey, you know, who's like 103.5. Like nobody talks like that, you know? And so they said, yeah, nobody actually talks like C-3PO talks. So anyway, it's just
If I had a butler, it would talk like that. I would
Okay.
have him talk like that.
Are you
for sure.
hiring? Because I'm
I got to
looking
do
for
a little
work.
better still. But
So did that make it more difficult then to like really nail it? I mean, since you didn't really have
No, because there's only one to try
so
and
you
match.
only had- okay, that makes more
And,
sense,
and
yeah.
because it's exaggerated,
I gotcha.
it's easier to hit than say like a regular sounding
Gotcha.
British person.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Good deal. Well, guys, I think we've almost come up to the end, so I'm gonna let you go and just plug yourself where you're at on
you guys
social
got any
media.
questions? Anybody?
Yeah, anybody got any
You
questions?
missed that
before we head
part.
out?
I'm trying to get them better, you guys.
Anybody? There you go.
Are you going to take your coffee and you can open up shops?
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah,
Caveman Coffee.
we're mostly direct to consumer. at this
Everybody order
point.
it.
You can find me on Instagram at Chris F. Bartlett.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Tait Fletcher, Tait Fletcher. Anywhere, easy to find.
The Andrey Ivchenko on Instagram and Threads, Facebook.
All right. But you can see them on, you can find them on Netflix, Disney. They're in movies, all kinds of fun stuff. So go follow them, go check them out. Thank you guys so much for
If
this
any
panel.
questions come to you, we're at tables right
Yeah,
over
come
here.
see us.
say
Yeah,
hi.
definitely come see them. Come check them out. And thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you guys.